To start nanoCAD Pro, click the Start button and then choose its name from the task list. When you pause your cursor over the name, you'll see the names of drawings that have been recently opened. Alternatively, double-click on the icon on the desktop. Wait for nanoCAD Pro to open, and then you have a choice. Here's recent files that you may have accessed, folders in which they resided, as well as a variety of ways to get help. To start with a blank drawing, click the Get Started button. nanoCAD opens with a blank drawing. To interact with nanoCAD Pro, you can work with the ribbon up along here, or you can enter in commands at the command prompt, or if you come over here and click this button, you instantly switch to menus and to the toolbars. The nice thing about menus is they segregate commands into types. For example, all the 2D drawing tools are under the Draw menu. You click it and here's all your options. When there's a little arrow, that means there's a sub-menu where you have additional options. When there's 3 dots, it means clicking this command will bring up a dialog box. Toolbars also separate commands by functions, but it's not quite as obvious. Since toolbars don't have names associated with the commands, just pause your cursor over one of the buttons to see what the function is. Click the button to execute the command. Now when we click this user interface button, we turn the ribbon back on, the menu and toolbars disappear. The ribbon works much the same way. Commands are segregated by names such as draw commands, and then each tab further segregates them by functions such as draw, hatches and fills, and modify. Clicking one of these arrows brings a drop list of additional options, and clicking on this little arrow gives you additional commands. Using the ribbon is just like using the toolbar. Pause your cursor over a command and a tooltip tells you what it does. Click the button to execute the command. You can do some quick modifying of the ribbon by right-clicking it and then choose Minimize Ribbon so that it doesn't take up as much room. To bring it back, right-click again and turn off Minimize Ribbon. Under the Show tabs and Show panels, you can turn off individual tabs that you think you might not need. For example, we can turn off the Points Cloud panel and it's no longer there. Right-click, click again to turn it back on. Same as for toolbars, where you can choose which ones you'd like to turn on and off. So for example, click here for Edit, and there's this Edit toolbar. Right-click, nanoCAD Toolbars, and then turn it off again. To change some other settings of toolbars, right-click, choose Toolbar Settings, and here once again you can choose which ones you want on and off, and then the size. So for example, I'll choose Large, and you can see the toolbars become much larger, or small, and they become smaller. I happen to like the large size. Although the ribbon is static, the toolbars aren't. When you move your cursor to the end of a toolbar, you'll see that 4-headed cursor. That means you can now move it. Press down the first mouse button and then start dragging it. You can either drag it to another place on the toolbars or else float it like this. And once it's floating, you can grab an edge of it, you see the double-ended cursor, and resize the toolbar. If you want, make it vertical. You can drag it to another location, such as on another monitor, or just bring it right back. The command bar is the control center of nanoCAD Pro, and it's where you can enter commands and respond to prompts. Type the line command, and as you do, nanoCAD shows all the other commands that have the word line in it. So choose one from it. When an option is underlined, you can then click on it to select it and respond to the prompt. To cancel a command, press Escape. To see earlier commands you typed in, press the up arrow on the cursor keypad until you find the command you want, and then press Enter. You can get rid of the command bar by clicking the X, but I don't recommend that. You can, however, minimize it, and so when you click this push button, it collapses down to the single word command line until you move your cursor over it and it reappears. When you press F12 or else click the DIN button on the status bar, you can see the values directly on the screen. So here I want to draw a line that's 2 inches long at 45 degrees. So I enter in 2 and then I press tab and then I enter in the angle and I press enter. On the sides of the drawing area are panels such as this properties panel, which reports the values of properties, as well as others such as the Explorer, which gives you access to all the data that are inside of files. To see the full list of panels available, right-click any toolbar, choose Functional, and there you have the list, such as ones that deal with sheet sets, material browsing for rendering, and for making selections of entities. Like the command bar, you can click the push pin to minimize the panel, and then when you move your cursor over the name of a panel, that's the one you get to see. One other tip for maximizing the screen area is to come right down to the lower right corner over here and click the full screen button. And now nanoCAD Pro just shows you the minimal number of user interface elements to maximize the drawing area. Last of all, let's look at the status bar, which is right along the bottom part of the nanoCAD Pro window. We start off on the left end with the display of the current XYZ coordinates along with the Z elevation, and then a number of toggles for switching on and off: snap, grid, object snap, object tracking, polar tracking, orthographic drawing mode, and then, as we've seen before, the dynamic input toggle, as well as toggling line weights and hatch patterns. Jump over to the right end and we have toggles for model and paper space, buttons that relate to viewport scales and annotative scaling, and a button here to go into pan mode and the variety of zoom modes and 3D viewing modes, as well as locking and unlocking the panels and toolbars so they don't accidentally move out of place.